everywhere, GBS.
And welcome back to GBS Morning Extra. The SMS line is 21144. You can keep the conversation going on hashtag GBS Morning Extra. That's on Twitter. And you can also get to watch this very episode on YouTube and also on Facebook. Our guest today, karibu sana.
Welcome.
Bwana Gideon.
Yes.
Now, Gideon is here with us today, and today is Monday, so we discussed the weekend politics, and he will help us to try and look into or analyze this political situation in the country and how it's going on. Umehesabiwa kwanza wewe?
Bado. Not yet. Bado.
Unaishi mbali sana na enumerators ama wewe ni wale watu wanaohepa?
Bado, you know, the gateman told me waliingia ati wako umo, so I've been waiting a knock on the door na hawaja kuja, but I hope leo watakuja.
Well, I believe there's still time. We still have until the 30th
of
August.
Yeah.
Now, before we delve into this, let's first take a look at another story that took place during the weekend that we, of course, have to mention. We are coming for you. Those are the words of President Uhuru Kenyatta, who put the Kenya Copyright Board and Music Copyright Society of Kenya on notice for payment of peanuts to Kenyan artists despite their hard work in the industry. Let's listen into this bite.
Lakini pia tuwajua ya kwamba katika industry hiyo na wale ambao wanasimamia pia kuna shida. Kwa sababu vile Githaa amesema hapa, haiwezekani iwe watu wameokota shilingi, nasikia MSK waliokota sijui 200 and something million, ile inajulikana. Ile inajulikana. Alafu useme 60% ya pesa hiyo ati umetumia kuokota 230 million. Si ni kweli? Na pia kwa copyright tumeona pia labda hata huko kuna shida. Na jana mimi niliamurisha DCI na watu ya EACC waanze upelelezi huko, tujue kama kuna shida huko ya watu kuwa wanakula pesa ambaye sio jasho yao.
Now, away from that to the matters that we have in hand today. Over the weekend, we saw a ton of events where from the announcement by the president that the country will no longer, as a national event, celebrate or commemorate the death of the founding father, President Jomo Kenyatta. That's his father, of course, the first president of Kenya. But then as a family, they will continue to commemorate the day, but then as a national event, it ceases to be celebrated. But at the same time, he took the occasion to talk to Kenyans about or respond to the claims that we have dynasties in Kenya, the Moi dynasty, the Odinga dynasty, and also the Kenyatta dynasty. And his response, some pundits say, to his deputy, who has been really making these 2022 politics a matter of the dynasties versus the paupers or the hustlers. Gideon, in your opinion, what do you think about this?
First, let's start on the note that the President Uhuru Kenyatta, through consultation with the family members, agreed that moving forward, they are not going to celebrate the remembrance of the date when the founding father passed on. I think it's long overdue that the family now, through the consultation that they made, agreed that now since, and bearing in mind that this is President Uhuru Kenyatta's final term in office, the family might have seen it fit that they shelf the celebrations back in the Shaweri or at home in Kiambu, which is, we've been waiting for this, in that it is time that we should, since the government came up with a policy whereby they renamed the national celebrations, that now it is going to be a matter of the family celebrating. But all that said and done, the founding father played a key role in the fight for independence. Yes. So it's also on the part of Kenyans to see whether they will also be joining the Kenyatta family in celebrating the commemorating
the day.
The event.
I mean, it's a bold move by the president, of course. Not much, but we'll say also saves the taxpayers
money.
Some couple of
money, yeah. And also now moving forward to the issue of dynasties, as you've put it clear, the president came out strongly during the event at the All Saints Cathedral. He said that a matter of leadership is not about which family you came from or which advantage you had in your life. It is about passion and the desire to lead. In Kenya, we can say that there is this narrative that has come out that there are families that have dominated the political scene for a very long time.
Is it really a narrative? Is it really a narrative, or is it the truth?
It is a narrative because you can see the deputy president through his foot soldiers have been out and about talking about the hustler nation, people who did not have it. And you saw it at Safari Park during the National Prayer Breakfast.
Which clips we actually do have. And I would like my director, Ben, to play that clip for us. Maybe we can start with the clip from the All Saints Cathedral by the president himself when he was making the announcement of the abolishment of the national commemoration of the death of the first president at the All Saints Cathedral.
You know, sasa kama nitaambiwa naongea siasa, lakini I'm not, I promise. I have no such intention. But, you know, when you hear people out there, you know, they talk, oh, huyu mtu fulani, dynasty hii, sijui dynasty hii. It's not about that. Leadership is not about where you were born. It's not about where you came from. It's not about the color of your skin. It is not about your tribe. It is just about a desire to serve, a desire to do good, a desire to make a difference in the lives of people. And anybody can do that. And why do I say that? I say that because even as we engage in our politics, let us do so in a decent manner. Let us do so.
Well, I mean, for the president to react to something like that, does that show us that there is really something that is cooking?
There is an ongoing debate in the political scene. You've seen the likes of Oscar Sudi.
That's mainly from his DP's camp.
Yeah, from DP's camp. They've been going out strongly about talking about mtoto wa maskini, lazima ongoze. And it is more that, and also there is the debate about people going to Kabarak to visit the retired president, Daniel Arap Moi. So this narrative was well crafted, and I know that the DP's Ruto's camp is a proponent of this narrative, in that each and every occasion, be it in the churches, the Arambes that they are going all over, they've been articulating this, that it is time for the hustler.
But he himself, he has tried severally to go to, visit the former president, and he has actually been bad. And at some time it was actually in the headlines where he was complaining, and his foot soldiers were complaining of how Gideon Moi has blocked him from going to say hi to the old man.
No, DP Ruto is a student of Daniel Arap Moi, and since the retired president has been ailing at his Kabarak home, the DP saw it nice to go and pay homage to his mentor. because we realized that at 1992, during the KANU elections, YK92 was a well-arched plan to ensure that the youths would come out and support the retired president in his re-election. And the issue of barring DP Ruto from accessing Kabarak is also another political game plan, in that they see that if DP accesses Moi, it is going to give political mileage in the rift.
In terms of, because still the Rift Valley, you know, honors the old man and follows his word. But as the DP makes a lot of noise about this issue, or the issue of dynasties, is he really justified? Because there's a clip that I want us also to play again, one you're mentioning earlier, during the National Prayer Day at the Safari Park Hotel, where the Deputy President actually alluded to himself being that boy without shoes while sitting for his exams, but now is sitting with the high and mighty in the high table. Maybe my director can play that video, and then we talk about that. Let's first listen into this bite.
And then in 1980, when I was preparing to do Standard 7 exams, CPE, that was called then, I remember very well when I went to do the exams, I was barefoot, because, of course, that was the nature of the village life. We didn't have shoes. My father bought me my first shoe in 1981 from a Mr. Onyango on the street for 60 shillings, because he could not afford the butter shoes. Why am I saying this? Today, as you can see, the gentleman who did not have shoes is sitting at the high table. With the son of the founding father. This nation does not belong to the elite alone. It belongs to 45 million Kenyans. And finally, I have a confession to make.
That's Deputy President William Ruto for you. But then, Gideon, quite frankly, let's just speak about this, and I'd like to draw your thoughts on this. You mentioned the 1992 elections, where we saw the rise of, where actually that was Ruto's political baptism, where he came into politics for the first time when he was in university, the Y2K. We had the likes of Cyrus Jirongo, and it is a fact that the youth who are aligned to the former president at that time, who were involved in the Y2K at that time, benefited a lot in terms of wealth and allocation of lands that cannot be explained up to date. And that was the entry point of the deputy president into politics. Can he distance himself right now from the dynasties and say that he's a self-made politician and that the wealth that he made was,
it is a fact.
Out of sheer hard work?
It is a fact that deputy president is a student of Moi School of Thought. In that we've looked at the clip that deputy president, among with the likes of Cyrus Jirongo, we have the likes of Sam Nyamweya, we have those people, and they were crafted in that they would be able to amass a lot of votes for the then president Daniel Arap Moi, and through they conducted rallies. They were able to be financed through banks, and they were given money to be able to champion for the re-election of Daniel Arap Moi. So William Ruto cannot isolate himself from the fact that he was a beneficiary of the funds that were meant to to campaign for the re-election of Daniel Arap Moi.
Yeah. Now, my question is he justified now by trying to portray that picture of William Ruto? Because if you listen extensively to that clip towards the end, he's talking about allowing the guy who owns a bicycle to, buy a motorcycle, and the guy who owns a motorcycle to buy a second-hand car, and the one who has a second-hand car to buy a brand new car, and so on and so forth. Or someone who sells charcoal to buy, open a shop, and then the one who owns a shop to open a mini market, and the likes. This kind of a talk. Yes, it's a very good narrative. It's a very good perspective. But then this sort of trying to put himself in that position where he is this self-made, politician, self-made, billionaire, if I may call him that today.
On the aspect of self-made, we can look at the likes of Kina Njenga Karume. Njenga Karume started as a Jacobana all the way up. The likes of Kina SK Macharia, those are people who have made it in the business industry and as well propelled to make a lot of success. To DP Ruto is a very smart politician that is able to come up with a narrative that is able to resonate with the common mwananchi at the ground. And that is why he's out and about saying that indeed it is his time as a son of a farmer back in Sugoi. And he is justified for him because he is a person who, as the Mr. Onyango was on TV saying that indeed, yes, the father came here and bought shoes from me. So for him, it is, you saw him even cry when the results were announced.
But he's always an emotional guy. We've known Ruto for crying.
He is an emotional guy in that
maybe he's a good actor, if I may say that.
he is very emotional at times when he does not seem to believe that indeed he has made it from the village to Arambe House Annex. So he is justified there.
Now, looking at this, how does this shape the 2022 politics, the narrative of dynasties versus the hustler nation?
It starts with the March 9th handshake that the front runners at that time were Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga. Yes. You saw Raila Odinga boycott the elections, and later on it was called at Arambe House to have a handshake so that normalcy would resume. And moving forward, you also saw during the weekend when the burial of John De Matthew, whereby the former Kiambu governor Kabogo said that if indeed there would be political calm in the country, it would come from the two contenders, that is Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta. And he said that there is one person he had prayed for to attend the funeral, and he was not present. And you saw the response that the DP gave in response to Kabogo. And moving forward, we are going to see you've seen Raila Odinga contest the fact that he has not said that he's going to be in the race. So it is going to be a very hotly contested seat.
But Ruto, we have Ruto on record daring him, and actually for the first time talking directly to Raila about the 2022, when he outwardly came and said, tell him, let's meet at the ballot, but tell him to concede defeat if he's defeated. Indeed. I mean, it was very straight. There was no interpretation to that. He was directly addressing the former Prime Minister.
Yeah, let us look at it this way, that Raila Odinga and William Ruto have previously worked together, and William Ruto knows Raila Odinga. He knows his antics, and that is why he said that if we are going to be in the race in 2022, be ready to concede defeat. You also saw it during the 2017 election, that Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto were out saying that if Raila Odinga loses squarely, he should concede defeat.
But then the election in which the IEBC actually nullified.
Nullified, yeah.
There was a lot of malpractices. And Raila and his camp already had talked of some, foul play, even before the elections were set to go.
So moving forward, if indeed, and I believe that Raila Odinga will be on the ballot, it is a matter of time if the deal goes so, because as you are looking in Murang'a during the weekend, the DP was very categorical that the late John DeMatthew had played a key role, together with other musicians, had played a key role in the re-election. And Ruto hinted at a scenario whereby the tribulations that they had gone through and how the musicians had stood with them. And I strongly feel that if the deal goes sour, then Raila Odinga will be on the ballot.
Is it a matter of if, because looking at who can stand against Ruto in 2022, if not
there
Raila.
is no one. It
of
is
course,
Raila
there is
Odinga.
people we have the likes of Kivuta Kibwana who have actually come out and said, I mean, why not? We have the likes of the Machakos governor,
Alfred
Mutua, who has also expressed his interest. We have the likes of Musalia Mudavadi, who have come out clearly and say, hey, we are, we've backed these people before, why not now? And we've seen the Luhya nation trying to amass their leaders to try and build some kind of cohesion, to pull together and face these guys in the ballot. But is there still a formidable opponent to Ruto, if not Raila?
There is only one. There is only one opponent to Raila Odinga. The rest are underdogs. Look at the likes of Musalia Mudavadi. Musalia Mudavadi is always silent on issues. When he brought up, after Raila Odinga went to Harambee House for the handshake, Musalia Mudavadi came out strongly to say that he is the opposition leader, and he hasn't done much. The likes of Gideon Moi, they've not come out strongly as William Ruto and his foot soldiers are. The only formidable candidate who is going to compete with William Ruto come 2022 is the one and only Right Honorable Raila Odinga.
Rumors of an alliance between the son of the former president and Raila Odinga. There have been talks of, Kanu merging with the ODM to help to form a government. And also, let's not forget that right now there are talks of a referendum which would lead us back to, which actually not lead us back, but would lead us to a parliamentary system of government, which, according to professionals, will mainly call for coalitions to form governments, because it will not, from the looks of thing, is that one party will not actually be able to come out and garner the support and the numbers that are needed in parliament to form a government.
Talks of the referendum are out there in the public, and we are waiting for the report from the Building Bridges Initiative.
Yes.
And we are headed for a referendum. When you hear Raila Odinga come out strongly and oppose the Punguza Mzigo by Okuro Court, we are indeed headed to the path of a referendum. And Raila Odinga, initially, if you listen to the sentiments of Orengo, if you hear Orengo speak, then it is Raila Odinga speaking. So Raila Odinga initially thought of a parliamentary system whereby that the party with the majority seats is able to elect the president. It is not clear whether we are indeed headed to that direction, because we need proportional representation. By proportional representation, I mean that a constituency, let's say Wajir or Garissa Township, where Aden Duale comes from, the population there, or the number of population is low as compared to a constituency, say, in Mathare or Dagoretti North, that an MCA has more votes as compared to an MP in Northern Kenya. We need that proportional representation, whereby the number of votes in a constituency are equal to the other constituency. In that, we are going to have the aspect of equity or equal representation.
But then that will call for fresh or new demarcations of constituencies.
You heard the Chebukati say that the issue of the delimitation of boundaries is long overdue, that it is going to come, so that, and even the census, we are looking at 27 constituencies, they risk being lost. So it is a matter of time, but moving forward, the issue of the referendum, we need to look at issue-based ideologies to inform the decisions in case we'll have a referendum.
Let me take you back to this topic that we've been talking about, demystifying the dynasties. And I want us to listen to a bite by the Right Honorable Raila Odinga on the issue of dynasty. Let's listen into this clip.
Jomo Kenyatta, the son of a pauper. He struggled, was detained by colonialists for all those years. You cannot say there's a Kenyatta dynasty. That because of that, Uhuru is a part of a dynasty. Odinga, son of Raila, was just another pauper. You could say he was a hustler. You cannot say therefore that Raila is a product of a dynasty. Raila is just Raila the way he is. Uhuru is Uhuru because of himself. Nobody has elected Uhuru because he's son of Kenyatta. Nobody votes for Raila Odinga because he's son of Oginga Odinga. Because of Raila. This is what it.
Well, Raila Odinga is not a dynasty. Uhuru Kenyatta is not a dynasty. Gideon.
Yes.
Let's go to the US, the United States of America. We had the likes of the Roosevelt family, which had senators and governors and presidents, and deputy presidents, vice presidents. We have the Bush family, which still has guys in elective office today as we speak.
Yeah.
We had the first, that's the George H.W. Bush. We had then the George W. Bush Jr., that is. Then we had the other Bush also, who tried to vie for presidency but was not successful. I think he was second to Donald Trump during the primaries for the Republicans. Then we have the Kennedys.
JF Kennedy.
The JF Kennedy, the Kennedys family, right?
Yeah.
And crossing over to countries like in Asia, let's take a country like South Korea, which is very democratic.
Yeah.
Which is very democratic. We have the founding father of South Korea, who was one Mr. Park, whose daughter was in Kenya the other day, also became the president of the country. Now, when you look at such countries, then it's evident that these are not countries that you would say are ruled by dynasties. But the reality of the matter is, this happened in the States. This happened in Korea. And if you want to talk about people making it from nothing, I would like to pick a very proper example. Several examples. In Africa, we have countries like Congo, Madagascar, where we had this President Rajolina, I think.
Andre Rajolina.
He was a DJ?
He was a DJ.
He was a DJ.
Straight from the club to the presidency.
We have in Europe right now and South America DJs, comedians, just normal guys coming out and, becoming presidents of countries. And we have the likes of Narendra Modi, who is the president of India, such a big democracy. And when you go to a country like India, party structures are observed. You don't just find yourself as a secretary general of a party just because you are aligned or you're close to the kingdoms. As they say, seek ye first the political kingdom. But it is about you rising step by step to the top.
Yeah.
Is it justified to call these people a dynasty? And is Raila, when you listen to Raila's argument and drawing from all these examples, is it really justified to call these guys a dynasty?
It depends on the angle that you'd like to look at it. But for me, I would not say it is a dynasty. They are not dynasties. What we have, it is the consistency that they've had. They've gone into office, they've been re-elected. Their family members also have sought political office. But moving forward, we are going to have a scenario whereby if a son of an MCA wants to succeed his father, then it is going to be called a dynasty. Those are not dynasties. Those are those are ambitions that if you see your father used to be in a political office, that urge develops in you and you'd want to seek political office.
Sure.
And moving, as the president also argued earlier during the commemoration of his father, he said that it is not about your color, it's not the color of your skin, it is not where you were born. Those are not dynasties. Dynasties are along bloodline. Look at China, for example, the Yang dynasty. We have the Britain, those the British royal family. That is now what we refer to as a dynasty. That a bloodline is in leadership for a very long period of time.
I would want to call Kenya a young democracy, and we are just building up, and it's also interest. You know, in countries like Kenya or Africa, if I may say, Africa, people tend to have people have to, almost everybody has a political opinion. Even small kids have political opinions. And when you listen to people, even those who are inexperienced in politics, they will want to talk about politics and talk about dynasties or talk about consistency. If you see the likes of, you know, we had politicians in Kenya, the families like the Nyaga family, where we had, you know, Norman Nyaga on this side of the political divide, and the other Nyagas, Joe Nyaga on the other side of the political divide. Do we call that a dynasty?
Those are not dynasties. And we've said that dynasties involve a very long period of time, a consistent long period of time. And you find that the Nyaga family, right now, they are not in the political scene. They are not in the political scene. Look at the likes of Kinamudi Awori. His brother Agri is in Uganda, while Mudi Awori is in Kenya.
Is in Kenya, yeah.
So it is not a matter of political. They need to. It is established, and it should be over a very long period of time for it to qualify to be called a dynasty.
Probably a century or more.
A century or more.
All right.
We're talking about 200 years plus. Yeah.
Well, on that note, we take a short break. But when we come back, I would like us to take a look at the, still in politics, I would like us to take a look at the Kibra by-elections that is forthcoming. Of course, ODM is a formidable party to still clinch the position, but then still other parties, Kalonzo Musyoka also and his Wiper party, have come out, and they also have a candidate that they want to field for the same contest, and so on and so forth. And I'd like us to take a short break now. Viewer, if you're just joining us, this is GBS Morning Extra. Keep the conversation going on hashtag GBS Morning Extra. That's on your Twitter, our Twitter handle. And also, you can get to watch this very episode on YouTube and Facebook. We take a short break now. When we come back, we want to discuss the by-elections in Kibra.
everywhere, GBS.
And welcome back to GBS Morning Extra. If you're just joining us, we can keep the conversation going on hashtag GBS Morning Extra. That's on our Twitter handle. And also, you can get to watch this very episode on YouTube and Facebook. This morning, I'm joined by Gideon, who is a political analyst. And we are discussing the abolition of dynasties. And also, as we said during the break, right now, we are taking a look at the Kibra by-elections. Quite a number of contenders that have shown interest, 26 in total. Just to mention a few, Chris Darling, who pulled out a hell of a show this weekend, and I think my director has that video. We will be running that to you shortly. We have Sumra, who was in Embakasi, former Embakasi MP. We also have Elizabeth Ongoro, who is a very strong candidate also. And also we have Kennedy Odede, who is a humanitarian activist. But one other guy who Gideon was just informing me that he pulled out yesterday during the rally was Imran, the brother to the late MP, Okot, who was actually heckled by the ODM supporters during the rally. But first, let's take a look at this stunt that was pulled out by Chris Darling during the event, which trended on social media. My director, if you can play that.
Nimesikia kuna vijana wengi sana kule bunge wanapiga baba. Niruhusu mimi kijana mwenzao niende nipigane nao kule. Wao wanakuja tu. Hakuna mtu yeyote baba ambaye anasema mimi na wewe nikiwa mimi niko. Kabla wafikie bwana Sifuna, kabla wafikie bwana Nagwa na kila ticho yote. Babu yuko hapa na mimi niko hapa. Waje nipigwe risasi, wewe ubaki tuongoze 2022. Na mimi naomba sana unishike mkono baba. Asante sana, Mungu akubariki. Asanteni sana. Asante.
What do you call that? What do you call that?
It is bowing. It is bowing in front of the king. Baba. It's Baba. So Chris Darling is a seasoned DJ, having grown in Kibra since his early ages, up to the level that he has made it. Remember that he attributes his success, having grown in a slum, to the level that he has reached. He is now able to move from one country to another, performing each and every occasion. And I see it as a motivation that Chris Darling is receiving a motivation from the likes of Charles Njagi Kanywa or Jaguar, so to say, and the likes of Bobby Wine in Uganda. So it is a time for him to also seek political election. But moving forward, Kibra has been a darling of the Right Honorable. You remember that he has represented the constituency for a very long period. And you even saw it when there was a mass for the late Ken Okot at the Moi Girls, that Raila Odinga had to attend that function as opposed to going to the requiem mass of the late Laboso, the governor. So to Raila Odinga, Kibra is pet, and you even saw the daughter, Winnie Odinga, also was at the occasion yesterday, and she said that she is not also going to vie. And Imran Okot, the brother to Ken Okot, we remember that Imran Okot used to be a PA to the brother, and the heckling goes on to say that indeed the ground is not that stable for him in the ground.
Sure. Yeah. Actually, the point I wanted to draw from this, quite contradictory. I'm really not really sure why Chris Darling had to, kneel down. That to me is either fanaticism or do we call, is that really loyalty? I don't understand. To me, that's more fanaticism than loyalty.
That is fanaticism. If we talk of loyalty, look at the likes of Elizabeth Ongoro, who's also in the contest. Yes. Look at the likes of Ishad Sumga. Yeah. Look at the likes of Babu Owino, the likes of TJ Kajwang. Sure. That is what we call loyalty, that you owe your everything to Raila Odinga. For Chris Darling, that is an assumption that he has in his mind, that he is going to garner the support of Raila Odinga. It is long overdue that a young generation should embrace their ideologies. Let him go out to sell whatever he has. But if you look at that rally in Kibra over the weekend, if Imran Okoth was heckled, it goes without saying that Chris Darling had to play another card so that he would be accepted. And you saw after he had knelt before Raila Odinga, there was heckling from the crowd. So that was tact.
But Raila made it very clear, and I think with all that has been going around, he made it very clear that there will not be any direct nomination for the party ticket. People have to come out and contest for their seat.
Yeah, you know, ODM suffered greatly during the by-elections in Ugenya and Embakasi South, in that they were able to give direct nominations, and those are allegations that have been in the public domain, that in ODM, for you to win an election, you only need a direct nomination for you to become an MP. And I think this time you saw that the ODM party, through Sifuna, who is the Secretary General, came out very strongly and said, can you submit your nomination? And they are scheduled on the August of 31st. That is when they are going to have a party primaries to pick a candidate to represent them. So I think the ODM is restructuring, in that now they have been able to identify the weak areas where it made them lose the by-election in Ugenya and the Embakasi South. So it is a high time that...
But it's a norm. It's something that has been occurring, and we saw this during the by-election of, was it Homa Bay, the passing of Kajwang?
Yeah. We
also saw the same. There was a lot of scuffles and disagreement in the party, where we saw even people falling out.
For ODM, it has been chaos whenever the party primaries are being held. You've seen chairs being thrown from one end to another, and that is why even Jubilee has been very keen not to come up with the idea of even party primaries, that they will even discuss with the candidates, and you will see candidates pulling out. And that is why even for Jubilee has done a very smart move, in that they are not going to field a candidate.
Yeah, they're not going to field a candidate for the Kibra. Probably, I think this could be, fruits of the
handshake. Yeah, it is. It has been said. Overflow? It has been said, but for a politician or a political strategist, he will tell you that for Kibra, for you to win a seat there, then you against ODM, it is going to be a very rough ride. And that is why when Nixon Coril, when Langata was hived from Kibra, and you saw him now being the first outsider, so to say, to win an election in Langata constituency,
which is a stronghold
of Raila
Odinga and his party. Yeah. Now, speaking on the same, we have the likes of Elizabeth Ongoro. We have the likes of Sumra. Do you think they stand a chance?
I don't think they stand a chance. Why am I saying that they don't stand a chance? You saw Elizabeth Ongoro was the MP Ruaraka, and it was a spirited fight between her and TJ Kajwang. And for Sumra lost terribly to Mawadhi, and even when there was a by-election there. So in Kibra, they will be considered as outsiders in that contest, and they stand little or minimal chances of being elected. In Kibra, we have the likes of Ben Musungu. Ben Musungu is the National Youth Coordinator for ODM. We have the likes of Siga Gumba, we have Ochieng Ager, we have the likes of Peter Orero, who is the principal of Dagoretti. So it is going to be a hot, and Chris Darling, let us not also
There's also another guy called Kennedy Odede, who is a humanitarian award winner,
yeah,
and has also shown to be formidable in the race.
Yeah, and the issue of Winnie Odinga not contesting also now opens up the space, because had she contested, then it would have brought jitters even within the ODM party itself.
Yeah.
So the contest in Kibra is going to be hotly contested, and it is going to be open. Ken Okoth was a very open-minded leader.
Yes.
He was able to construct schools there. Development was in hand. And the people of Kibra are going to look towards a development-oriented leader moving forward, since their late MP was a development-minded individual.
Particularly on areas of education which he really did well. And as we know, Kibera is one of the areas, not one of the areas, but is the area in Kenya where we have the most number of non-formal schools, and also the largest population in terms of in a non-formal settlements.
So for Kibra, it is the by-election is going to be on November 7th, and we hope that the people down in Kibra are going to elect a leader who is going to continue with the development projects that the late Honorable Ken Okoth had initiated. And now that the ODM as a party has requested candidates who are willing to take part, to also take part, and it's going to be, I suppose now it is going to be a more transparent and clear contest.
Do you foresee a peaceful primaries in the ODM nomination in Kibra this time?
It is going to be, in the spirit of the handshake, let me say that the Right Honorable Raila Odinga is going to try and entrench a culture whereby that there's going to be peace and transparency within the party itself. The ODM is trying to engage in restructuring itself to be seen as a more peaceful outfit, organized party.
Which they have not really shown to be, especially when it comes to party primaries in the past.
Yeah, the acid test is going to be on 26th of August. Whether we are going to see whether they are going to hold a very peaceful party primary. So it is up to them and Judy Pareno, who is in charge of elections, in ODM, and Sifuna. We are expecting that they are going to do a very clean job this time.
Talk of Sifuna, there are also talks that Sifuna might also, jump into the race for the position of MP in Kibra.
Sifuna is the Secretary General of ODM. It is, he was given the position after losing the senatorial seat to Sakaja.
Yes.
So we presume that those were bloggers and people on social media, because he was at the function in Kibra during the weekend.
Yeah, and I also saw him giving a hug to Darling.
So to Chris Darling. So for him, going to the Kibra seat is not advisable, and that is why he never commented about seeking that election.
Is there a possibility? And should he vie for the seat? What do you think would be the reaction?
He shouldn't. My advice to Sifuna is that he shouldn't seek election in Kibra. He should concentrate on strengthening the ODM as a party, and also trying to put in place measures and mechanisms to ensure that the aspect of democracy, transparency, and strengthening the grassroots level of ODM is strengthened. That is his essence. Being a Secretary General is more prestigious as going for an MP seat back in Kibra.
And also having lost a senatorial race, then you go back for
an MP seat. It would be demeaning himself.
But he won't be the first. We saw guys like the likes of Kenneth, who tried the presidency, and when they were defeated, they again came back to try governorship and stuff. Still they were not successful.
The likes of Peter Kenneth, we can say that it was, you see, the side effect of what they did. Had it not been the issue of the burial of his mother, then he would be in the political oblivion. Those are chances that you take, and the consequences are very dire. So you must go for the highest calling and insist on. You cannot see Musalia Mudavadi now going for a by-election, maybe for an MP seat or governor's seat back at Vihiga, or Kina Ole Kiapi. You've seen them when they lose, they remain there and they are very focused.
And they
So
remain focused
they
to
remain
also
focused,
criticize their
the
opponents
government, or
and
they are
forming a strong
opposition.
and being a watchdog to the government.
Yeah.
Now, maybe as we conclude, right now the census is going on, and maybe your opinion on the same. We saw what happened in Kisumu, the clip that you ran. Very unfortunate that the security of the enumerators is still not guaranteed, like 100% guaranteed.
So
isn't this worrying? If the
is
enumerators themselves are not safe, what about now us, when they who will come into our homes? What do you know about that?
Those are some of the incidents that have happened during the weekend. We've seen the issue of Chepalungu in Bomet, whereby people wielding machetes were threatening the lives of enumerators, to the sad incident of Maseno, where an enumerator was raped. It is so saddening. But all that said and done, I think the Interior Ministry should be held responsible, because the Matiang'i was the CS Interior was very firm in assuring Kenyans of their security. And it is a very sad incident. We're moving forward. The exercise is still ongoing. For the first 2 days, it has been a success. We want to urge the government agencies through Interior Ministry to coordinate matter security to ensure the safety. If the enumerators who are working with police officers are attacked and some heinous acts are being done on them, we would like to encourage that Interior Ministry through Matiang'i, through all the security agencies, to beef up security, to ensure the safety of both the enumerators and the citizens. To the exercise is important. Remember that as a country we've had, this is the 8th census. The census is important in that the government is able to plan both socially, economically, and politically, that the data is able to help in policy making and even resource distribution. So it is important that Kenyans take up the call, and they receive the enumerators, and giving out the information is important for the growth of our country.
We have some reactions actually coming up now on our Facebook page, GBS Facebook page, where we have Brenda saying that direct nominations have no place in Kenyan politics now, People reacting now to the issue of Kibra, and I think it's something that really needs to be, it's something that should actually be closely watched, because Kenyans raising their voice on the same.
Yeah, Kenyans are a very conscious lot, I can say, that it has reached time that Kenyans now are able to come out and condemn acts that, as you clearly stated, that as a young democracy, Kenyans are now able to question, and they are able to articulate their issues strongly, in that if it is the issue of representation, remember that in an elective position, it is the person who is going to be elected who is going to help in developing those areas that they have been elected. So the issue of direct nomination is a long gone case. Let the people be allowed to vote a person who is going to represent their interests.
And maybe as we finish, still on Saturday there was some hiccup with 6 data capture kits that were reported to have malfunction. But of course, Cyrus Oguna, the government spokesman, came out strongly to say that the issue had been rectified and that now the process was going on. Do you think that, and it's also the first time that the census is being done digitally?
The new thing about this census is that there is the technology whereby there is a CAPI. CAPI stands for computer-aided personnel, whereby integration program, whereby Cyrus Oguna was quick to distort those the fears that the exercise was not running properly. For example, you looked at the last election, we had hiccups in the data, and that is why the likes of the late Chris Musando came out very strongly to defend the technology. So what we are saying is there were hiccups, and the 6 gadgets, as you heard from the retired Major Cyrus Oguna, he said that they were able to rectify. It is an important aspect in that we are now able to capture the data electronically. Moving forward, we also want to encourage that the government is able to store those records progressively, and it is going to even reduce the cost of conducting a census.
In the future. Maybe because of time, we have to finish. Maybe your final remarks in 30 seconds.
My final remarks are for the people of Murang'a. The people of Murang'a lost a legend, that is John De Matthew. The family would like to send our condolences, and the president assured them of their support. To the people of Kibra, it is the opportunity now. Let them turn out strongly in the primaries that are coming up on 26th. Let them choose a person who is going to represent them, because you know, if you win an ODM ticket in Kibra, it is a sure bet you are going to clinch the position. So,
well, thank you very much, Bwana Gideon, for coming. I hope we have another time again in studio so that we can discuss further issues of politics. And viewer, we have come to the end of our program today, and indeed it is time also for Kenyans to come out there and be counted. And the census is important, as you've heard from the various leaders, the president himself, and of course from our guests today. Come out and be counted, because that is really important for national progress. My name is Timothy Mondi. Let's do this again, same time, same place tomorrow. For now, it's bye-bye and God bless you.